welcome. This opportunity for us to be together as a wellness community is a little different than our regular learning communities because ultimately this little less than an hour now is really meant to focus on you. This is about your well-being and your wellness. And we're going to review some strategies that are going to be very common. There'll be no surprises for anybody, I'm sure, of these particular strategies. And ultimately, this is really an opportunity for us to have this time together as a wellness community. And I'll tell you something on a personal note, I'll just say, in preparation for our conversation, I took a little of my own medicine. And one of the activities that we'll engage in today is called taking a pause, which is intentional breathing. And I did that before I logged on, and it really made a difference. So I'm very happy for us to have the opportunity to be here together. There are 29 of us at this particular moment. We'll give it just one more minute, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Again, if you haven't had a chance to put your full first and last name and where you're from in the chat, please do that. And if you are sharing your computer with anybody, please do type their full first and last name in the chat and where they're from. And we will go ahead and begin. Well, we've already begun. So the idea that this hour, little less than an hour now, is really about being focused on you and your well-being. And I'm going to keep reminding you of that. Okay? All right. So 29 of us at this particular moment. It's possible a few other people may join us. My name is Paul, and I'm really honored to have the opportunity to be in this wellness community with all of you today. And with some of you whom I've had the pleasure to be in the wellness community with before, welcome back. I love the fact that people come back. And again, here it is in New York State, at least. It's Tuesday at 1:05 in the afternoon, and here's time that we're dedicating to your wellness. I'm going to share my screen. So again, let me reiterate, self-care and wellness for all. And for this time, that all is us in this wellness community. Because we hopefully want to keep this a professional, safe, and respectful wellness community for everybody who's here, I'm going to invite us to be intentional about how we talk with each other as we engage, hopefully, in a dialogue about this. Again, if we could use language that is welcoming, respectful, and inclusive of, now there are 30 of us, all 30 of us that are here. Because we are a wellness community, because this hour is focused and dedicated to your well-being, what we bring to the table, what we discuss, what you may comment on, what you may share, what questions you may pose, may not necessarily reflect the official position of our funder, and that's okay, because the fact that this is supportive and relevant is what is prioritized. Welcome, welcome back. Last time I'll say it, if you have not yet typed your full first and last name in the chat and where you're from, please do it. If you are sharing your computer with anybody, please type their full first and last name into the chat. There will be a brief evaluation at the conclusion. I'm going to do my best to try and leave a little bit of time at the end for you to be able to complete the evaluation. I say that, and sometimes, as many of you know, I fail miserably, and there's no time at the end. So again, I'll do my best, and please, if you would take a moment and fill out the brief evaluation, it would be greatly appreciated. If you can be on camera, please be on camera. If you're not going to be on camera, just send me a direct message and let me know you're not going to be on camera. I'm glad you're here. Just let me know you're not going to be on camera. Just want to make sure everything is okay. Also, if you wouldn't mind remaining muted, there are 30 of us, until you have something you want to contribute, comment on, react to share. At that point, don't hesitate. Even if I'm in mid-sentence, don't hesitate to unmute and just say, hey, I'd like to add something here. I'd like to comment or react. What I would ask, though, is if somebody else in our wellness community actually has the floor, please don't interrupt them. Please give them the respect of listening uninterrupted. Let them make their point or state whatever they want to state. And then I'll turn the floor over to you. So again, feel free to interrupt me at any time you want. Please do not interrupt each other. And the final one, given that this is about your wellness, your well-being, your self-care activities, what I am going to ask is if you would be willing to focus on speaking from the I. And I'm going to advance this to the disclaimer, and I'm just going to quickly take it down and say, can everybody agree to those guidelines as stated? You can wave, you can give a thumbs up, you can directly deposit to my savings account, whatever works best for you. All right, excellent, fantastic. Glad you're here. I'm going to go to the disclaimer, which is simply saying that my role here is as a guide, as a support facilitator for our wellness community. This is an opportunity, and this is going to be discussed in the goals, but this is an opportunity for us to reaffirm what we may be doing, consider, is there anything we might want to change or add? And again, I am not here to tell you what you are doing is right or it's wrong, or what you should be doing. And again, my belief is that there is power and support in us having an opportunity to come together to remind ourselves and each other about our own well-being, our own self-care activities, and how our personal well-being is also connected to our professional wellness. To that end, we have a couple of learning objectives that I'd invite all of us to consider. And I'll just say that the one informational piece, and again, it will be review for a number of you because you've been in this wellness community before, is that I will just review quickly what the stress cycle and the modern day stress cycle is. And it's relevant to this particular focus on our own personal as well as professional, and the union of those things, well-being. So I'm going to take the screen down for a minute, and I'm going to pose a question that is different than the question the slide was going to pose. And the question I want to pose to you is, if you think about your own personal wellness, your own process, meaning your activities of moving toward wellness, what are some of the things that you personally do that support your personal as well as your professional wellness? And of course, there's no right or wrong here. I'm just asking you to reflect on what you currently do. So is anybody willing to unmute and comment about something that they do or engage in that supports both their personal wellness as well as their professional wellness? So I'll open the floor to see if anybody wants to, yeah, go ahead. Noel, are you raising your hand or are you applauding?
No, I have it up. I'll
Okay,
take both.
okay. Go right ahead.
Moment. My family kind of comes together at the same time, so it includes them, and it's a pretty neat practice.
So just so I'm clear that I understood you correctly, because I think my computer dropped out, you said meditation, yes?
Yeah, present moment meditation. You know, I get up, I get my coffee, I put the fireplace on,
Yeah.
I am in this really nice meditative place. My family kind of does their thing, comes down,
Okay.
and joins in that process. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Thank you so much. Diane, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Well, several things make me happy, but playing the piano helps me process the day, start the day. And even in the office, when I'm done seeing patients and I have time to write up reports, I have music, and it's usually piano music, which keeps me level and sane and interested.
Mhm. Thank you so much, Diane. Anybody else? Something that you engage in that supports your personal as well as your professional wellness. Anybody else want to comment? And I did see that a couple of folks put some things in the chat. And if you want to elaborate on those things, don't hesitate to unmute. I'll read them in just a moment. But I want to open the floor to see if anybody else has anything else that they would like to share that they engage in that helps their. Yeah, go ahead, Julie. Please go right ahead. Just feel free to unmute. You don't need to raise your hand. But thank you. That's very kind of you.
I like to bake, and on Sundays I kind of prep my meals for the week, and I like to try new, recipes, things like that. So to make sure that, I'm eating healthy during the week. I kind of do that on Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie. And I'll just say to the whole wellness community, I like to eat baked goods. That helps me feel good sometimes too. Although not so good for my waistline, Julie, but thank you.
Yeah, sure.
That's wonderful. Anybody else? Something you engage in that supports both your professional and your personal wellness?
Hi,
Hi, go ahead, Wendy.
this
I
is
think John is on
Wendy.
the edge of his seat too. But go ahead, Wendy. We'll see what you have to say, and then we'll see what John and maybe what Kara has to say as well. Go ahead, but we'll see. Go ahead, Wendy.
So like to eat sweets and ice cream, and because of that, I'm also a runner and a cyclist, so I have that balance.
I love the fact that you're achieving a balance there, eating sweets and ice cream, and also being a runner. Balancing out. Fantastic. John, Kara, I'm going to give you a chance, and then we're going to go to Catherine. Go ahead, John. What were you going to say?
Yeah, it's technology. So for me, it's really important because I work multiple jobs. So I in the mornings as I'm going to my primary job, I make sure to listening to Christian faith-based music. Make sure my mind's in the right state of mind before I start dealing with people. And after work, I go to the gym every day, about an hour and a half to 2 hours to blow the adrenaline off. So yeah.
Fantastic. John, thanks so much. And I'm glad that technology thing worked with your mic. Thank you. Kara, the floor is yours. Then we're going to go to Catherine. And then I see Margaret has something she wants to say too. Go ahead, Kara.
It's you had it right, Kara. And
Kara.
Yes.
I'll do my best to remember.
You had it right earlier.
And then I messed it up.
And then you messed it up. Yeah. On a daily basis, I like to make sure that I check in with my sisters. I'm very close with my sisters. So on a daily basis for my own wellness and sanity is that. And then as I can afford it and as I can do it, massage therapy is what helps me tremendously in my self-care and in my work. So those are the two things that I probably go towards the most.
Thank you, Kara. Thank you so much. Yeah, Catherine, thanks for your patience. And then we're going to go to Margaret.
Sure. I engage in alternative complementary therapies. I had always gone to therapy and supervision and peer supervision, and I find that helps me a lot. Also, I like walking, reading, meditating, reading good stuff, but I also do massage and I do Reiki. And IET and universal rays. I find that energy healing really helps me clear my body and my mind and my spirit.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Catherine. Margaret, the floor is yours.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you great.
I start my day with prayers, and during the day, I do a little of chair yoga and some deep breathing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going to do a little deep breathing, which I call a pause as we go forward. Antonio, Thank you. And Margaret, thanks so much. I see that Antonio, go ahead, Antonio. There you go.
Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Well, what I do, I hang out with my son. I hang out with my son. We go to mute. He's a musician.
Okay.
So he plays the piano, he plays the guitar,
Wow.
Self-taught. So I spend a lot of time going to musicals, you know,
Yeah.
because that's his thing.
Right.
Just adapting, man. Another thing, I have a book club that I'm in. So we read books. I'm actually reading this book by I'll tell you right now. So we talking about self-care. I'm reading this book that's called what's the name of it? Oh fuck. It's a cold book. It's from back in the day, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was written by Franz Fahn.
Oh, okay.
It's called Black Skin, White Mask. The author of The Wretched of the Earth.
Wow. And
Yeah.
your book group, you and your book group are reading this together.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It's called France, Frantz.
Yeah.
Fanon, Fanon. He's an
Okay.
author. It talks about I believe back in the French, how should I put this? Let's see. The edition translated from the period of, let's see what it says. The new edition translated from the French by Richard Pylock and a foreword by Kwame Anthony Appin. So it's just a book that I read. I read various books. I also read it's a lot about when you talk about the psychosis,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So I don't know if anybody understand what I'm talking about. I might be over your head, or I might not be saying it right. But it's just some things that I do to keep my mind. I try to stay away from the TV.
Yeah.
When I come home, I turn off my phone.
Yep.
You know, those are my self-care tools. And also going for a good walk. I just recently went to the Huntington Library out here. It's in San Marino. It's 100 acres of Japanese gardens, and it's a library inside of it. So it's one of the richest families that was here in Los Angeles at one time. It's like close to South Pasadena.
Okay.
So they have turned their, it's like the Getty, John
Yep.
Paul Getty.
Yep.
Most of the stuff that they had, they turned it into a museum. So
Wow.
that's my recent quest on what I've been doing. So I'm just an avid reader, come from lived experience, and I spend a lot of time with my son. So that's my self-care in one.
Thank you so much, Antonio. Thank you. Valerie, what were you going to add?
Hi, I'm Valerie. I'm a person in long-term recovery, first and foremost. And what I do is go to God every day. My AA sponsor calls me every morning. My NA sponsor calls me every morning. And then I come into work, drink my coffee, and I work at the shelter. So there's different programs, different personalities, but my foundation is God first. And then I'm ready for whatever's coming at me, one day at a time.
Understood. Thank you so much, Valerie. And you know, Valerie, you prompt me to want to make a personal disclosure here, which is that something that the wellness community has actually inspired me to begin engaging in, and I didn't do this before being in the wellness community, is I'm very intentional. And Noelle, I'm thinking of you as I say this. I'm very intentional about how I start my day. And I take time before I jump right in. I take time to kind of connect with something bigger than myself from a peaceful place and sort of try to let that kind of guide me through the day. And Valerie, thanks for reminding me of that, because it really is something that I got from our conversations together in this wellness community. So thank you so much, Valerie. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to add anything else to what you do, that you're engaging in, that supports your personal well-being as well as your professional well-being. Doesn't mean you can't say something going forward. I just want to give anybody an opportunity. Kevin, you seem to have a reaction to Antonio kind of guiding us through the book that he was talking about. I wonder if you've read that book or if you have any thoughts that you might want to share. You can pass if you don't have anything you want to add. I just saw that you were reacting to Antonio's book.
I didn't have anything.
Okay. All right. Well, good to hear your voice. Thank you for being here. Okay. All right. So folks, I'm going to share the slides again. And we are going to engage in a couple of things. And again, remember, we're not sort of necessarily reviewing anything new, but what can change is our relationship to these existing things. And, you know, I've never begun this wellness community conversation with the way we started it today. And I'm very glad that we did it this way, because what everyone talked about is noted on a few of these slides as evidence-based practices that can actually manage stress. I mean, just about everything that everybody said gave a real spin to what you might read on those slides, because there is a difference between reading something on a slide and doing it. And you could hear it in people's voices as they were describing. Noelle, when you were describing that moment of like what you do in the morning and the space that you're in, I could feel that. I could feel the peace of it. I don't know if anybody else did, but I could certainly feel, yeah, Julie did. I could certainly feel the peace of
it's
what
very grounding. It's being very grounded. It's awesome. And I put the fireplace on and it brings the temperature up in the room because it's a crispy kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And I love that. I love the environment kind of joining me in my senses. So it's pretty neat. I like the whole experience.
Wonderful. And it's a multi-layered experience. It's with your family.
Yes.
It's, you love the space. You feel the physical warmth. All of
I like the coffee.
Yeah. All those things at once.
Oh, perfect.
Thank you. Thanks so much. So I'm going to share my screen again, folks. And I want to acknowledge that, and these were these, these were these terms that I was going to share with you, which are burnout, compassion fatigue, and vicarious trauma. And but before I say anything about these, I do want to just quickly check the chat, because I know a number of people put a few things in the chat. Margaret mentioned yoga. Cara, did I say it right? No, Kara. Let me know.
Kara.
Kara, okay. Massage, and a number of people let me know. Oh, Eula, welcome. And folks have let me know that they're not going to be on camera. That's great. Glad you're here and participating. Do not worry about not being on camera. Just glad that you're here. So a couple of things I just want to say about these three terms. And I'm going to guess, and I know from prior conversations, that a number of these terms, oh yeah, and Catherine mentions pets, and I'm going to mention pets as we go forward too. In fact, our dog is actually sitting asleep, and I'm going to say that with my fingers crossed, in a chair right next to me right now, and it's the sweetest thing. If I could move my camera, I'd show him to you. But you'll see a picture of him shortly. What I'd like to say about these three terms is, number one, they're real. Number two, I'm going to guess that there are folks in our wellness community that have experienced some or all of these. And what I can tell you that you already know is that these result from the realities of the work that we're doing when we're working with people who are opening up and they're talking about their life experiences with us. And as again, I'm speaking to the choir here. As many of you know, many of the people who receive services are folks who are experiencing trauma, have experienced trauma, or are living sort of in the shadow of intergenerational or historic trauma. And when we hear their stories, it can cause these outcomes if we're not taking actions to manage these outcomes. If these outcomes happen, it doesn't mean we're ineffective or we're bad. It just means that things have piled up and they need to be addressed. And there can be a relationship between these three phenomena as well. And the last thing I'll say about this is that it can be very real with stress building up, that people develop illnesses, have physical and emotional symptoms, and sometimes are forced to change their careers. A number of people have said that in the wellness community before, that because of the situation they were in, because they couldn't change some of the elements of that situation, that they needed to take care of themselves. And Antonio mentioned this earlier about setting boundaries. They set a boundary that it was not going to be an environment that they were going to thrive in. So I just want to underline that this is what we're working on managing and hopefully proactively preventing. We are now going to take a pause. And I'm going to keep this very simple. And many of you know this, but what I'm going to suggest is that in our own time, when we start, we're not starting yet, but in our own time, we take 3 breaths together. Now, the one thing that will be different about these 3 breaths, and I'm asking you to try this out if you don't already do it, again, at your discretion. If you don't feel comfortable doing this, feel free to pass. I want you to do what feels appropriate or right for you. But what I'm going to invite you to consider and try is that when you take your first breath in, when we start, that you hold it for just a few seconds. And then you slowly let it out. And you also, hello, Joyce, good to see you. And then you hold it for a few seconds again before you take your next breath, and then hold it for a few seconds and then let it out. Okay? So this is what I'm framing as taking a pause. And I'm going to suggest that we all do that together. And then I'm going to follow that up with a question that I'd like you to respond in the chat with. Okay? So in your own time, when you're ready, go ahead and take your first breath with the pause, let it go, pause, take in another one. And you'll do that for 3 breaths. When you're done taking your 3 breaths, just type the letter Y in the chat so I'll know you're done, okay? And I'm going to do it with you. So do it in your own time. We all breathe differently. So do it in your own time. All right. So just return to your normal breathing. And what I'm going to ask you to take a moment to do now is just quickly check in with yourself. How are you feeling right now? And if there's a word that you can type in the chat that describes how you're feeling right now, go ahead and type that word into the chat. There's no right or wrong here. Whatever word describes you is what you can put in the chat. Okay? There's no right or wrong here. It's simply the word you choose that describes you is your word. And again, there's no right or wrong. So we have centered, tired, calm, relaxed, calm, peaceful, calm, fresh, restored, cooler than the other side of the pillow, sleepy. I like that, Antonio. Sleepy, heavy, sound. And again, there's no right answer. And if we can hear from everybody, that would be great. Calm. Thank you, Freddie. Excellent. Wendy says peaceful. Okay. All right. All right. I'm going to share my screen again, folks. Margaret says calm. So we have taken a pause together. And what I will just underline for us all is that we are free to do this at any moment or any time that we think we want to do it or we can benefit from it. And it can be a great way to start over. I found myself doing that earlier today. I had a little bit of a stressful morning, and I was able to let that go in order to bring myself to being centered for our time together. So this is a book that I have read, and I find it very interesting on a variety of levels. It's written by these two sisters, and Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle. And there are many, many, many things in this book. And really, I'm only going to be sharing two of them with you. One of them is their conception of what they call the stress cycle. And also just reviewing the evidence-based strategies that they underline in the book, which you have already underlined, that help manage the stress so it doesn't accumulate and turn into burnout, compassion fatigue, or vicarious trauma. And ultimately, in addition to the symptoms or the concerns that burnout, compassion fatigue, or vicarious trauma may cause you personally, they have a ripple effect, like a stone dropped into a pond. They have a ripple effect to the people in your life, the people you work with, and the people you serve. So in regard to what they mention about this dynamic, which it makes logically, it makes complete sense to me, is that they identify this cycle that we as human beings can go through where we experience a stressor. I would be a little stressed if I saw that lion right in front of me. We have a physiological and emotional response to the stressor, which then turns into either fight, flight, in this case, fawn, which means basically becoming a people or lion pleaser, and freeze. And we act on that, and in this case, it's flight. We get to safety. We're able to let go of the holding on or the intensity of the experience, and we're able to share it with our community, and therefore we've let the impact of the stressor go. Okay? So what they suggest is that what is happening to us in modern day stress cycle is that there is a stressor. In this case, it's a supervisor who does not seem too pleased. We have that same physiological and emotional response, and we may have the same impulse to flee, but because of the circumstances of the situation, we can't act on that. We also maybe can't get to a place where we can let it all go, recount the experience, and move forward, and we then get trapped in a loop. And where you see those two X's, you can think of that is accumulation on top of accumulation on top of accumulation with no release or discharge. So we know that if we get stuck in this pile-on effect or this accumulative effect, we are going to respond ultimately in a way to psychologically or physically protect ourselves. And this is where burnout, compassion fatigue, and vicarious trauma can come in. Because if you think about it, folks, compassion fatigue is actually an attempt to create a barrier or a wall, or it just means that the tank is on empty. And that can lead, of course, to decreased engagement. And again, in addition to the downsides that burnout, compassion fatigue, and vicarious trauma can cause you, again, it has that ripple effect, and it can directly impact our relationships with the people we work with and the people we serve. It can also, as I said earlier, result in illness. Now, the two sisters suggest that there are a variety, and you've named them, many of them already, there are a variety of strength-based activities or evidence-based activities, which are strengths-based, that we can engage in, that we can do, and you'll notice the emphasis on do, to help complete that stress cycle. And when I say complete it, what I mean is that those layers of accumulated stress stop being held and accumulating, and they're able to basically peel off or integrate into our experience. Now, I'm going to take the screen down for just a moment, and I just want to ask, does anybody, and you can do this in the chat if you want, or you can unmute, does anybody want to take a guess about what the #1 evidence-based strategy is to complete the stress cycle? Now, if you've been in this wellness community before and you know, please refrain and let's see what people think. What do you think the #1 strategy is? And you can put it in the chat or you can unmute and comment. Kevin says pause. Okay. Kevin, that can help, but that's not listed as the #1. Okay. Excellent. Thanks for starting us off. Anybody, CBT, Eula says, cognitive behavioral therapy. Not, oddly enough, Eula, not even on the list in their book. Okay. Anybody, any other thoughts about what the #1, John is really contemplating this. It's like, #1, you're going to go, oh, of course, when I show it to you. Catherine says, take breaths and do something you like. I love it. It's a combination of what Catherine said, that what Kevin said about the pause, because that's taking breaths, and also doing something you like. Well, you know, Catherine, I'm going to give it to you because Catherine wrote doing something you like. Okay? I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to reveal it to you. And trust me, you're all going to be like, oh, okay. Although for some people like this more than others. And I just want to acknowledge that. Not everybody is drawn to this particular strategy or drawn to it in particular ways. And I'll give an example when I reveal it. All right. And if you want to do a personal drum roll before I reveal this, oh, somebody just put something in the chat. Let me guess. Let me see. Ah, Margaret adds mindfulness. Nope, not listed. It's on the list, but it's not number one. Here's number one. Physical activity of some sort. Makes sense, right? Physical activity of some sort, because again, it's involving the body, it's involving breathing. Probably if you're engaging in this physical activity, it's something that you like. So physical activity of some sort, and PS, it does not have to be incredibly exerting. It just needs to be physical activity of some sort. And the example that I was going to give is, I am not a fan of going to the gym. I am a big fan of biking. I am a big fan of hiking and backpacking. So I like physical activity, but I like it in different forms than maybe, because I'm in an urban environment, that what an urban environment can necessarily provide. Also, connection and positive social interactions. And a number of people mentioned that. Laughter. And this is probably one of my really effective go-to self-care strategies, is to put myself in the company of people who really make me laugh. And I'm thinking of one of my cousins who, it's inevitable, whenever we get together, we're always laughing almost the whole time we're together. Sleep, meditation, and rest. Again, sometimes it's easier to get those things and engage in those things than others. Creative expression, and that's unique and different for everybody. Affection, as was said earlier, and sometimes that affection is with other people, and sometimes it's with our beloved animals and pets. And I'm just checking the chat. I see somebody put something in the chat. Yeah, and Margaret is mentioning that it lets out endorphins. Yes. Sometimes for some people, and this happens for me at times, and at times it's not always a surefire. At times, if I express tears, if I get to a place where I express tears, sometimes that can be very cathartic and releasing. I think the other thing we always have to consider is that if somebody is frequently moved to tears, or if their affect is moving between tears and sort of mania, that can mean something else. But sometimes tears can be a very powerful way to express joy or sadness or any kind of pain. So I think the real takeaway in regard to this, and I'm going to just check the chat quickly again. Somebody just put something in the chat. Valerie, you will get a certificate, but you'll get it in about a week. You'll also get a copy of these slides as well, but you'll get a certificate for 1 hour of credentialing credit. Keep in mind, and this is where the doing or the action comes in. You may remember I asked you, what is something you're doing that supports your personal as well as your professional life? I love this statement, which is from the book. Wellness is not so much a state of being, but a state of action. So the actions can evoke, I'll use that word, an MI related word, motivational interviewing. The actions can evoke or create a state of wellness or well-being. As many of you may know, a picture of the Grand Canyon. And I have been to the Grand Canyon 11 times. I have not yet made plans for my 12th time, but I really am putting double thumbs up that I want, my intention and my desire is to have a 12th time. I took this picture, which I'm very proud of. I like taking pictures as well. I'm showing it because this is something that's powerfully connected to two things: physical activity, three things: physical activity, my love of nature and the outdoors, and my spirituality. I feel very connected to something much larger than myself when I'm in this awesome, for me, space. Now, I have had people say to me, what do you love about the Grand Canyon? It's just a big hole in the ground. Well, the point being that for each of us, wellness and self-care and what fulfills us is unique to us. So one person's hole in the ground that may not fulfill them, may not be anything that they desire, can be another person's, mine, their paradise. So just keeping in mind that unique aspect of your and mine, our wellness and our self-care. This is a picture of my dog, who is also sleeping in this picture, although he has his eyes open. He has his eyes closed right now in the chair. And he brings me a lot of pleasure. And I do get some physical activity because I have to walk him. He gets walked 4 times a day. And this is a clock. I am very fond of clocks in general and specifically. I like to take them apart and put them back together again. And sometimes they actually work. My dog's name, and I appreciate you asking that, my dog's name, and if you know where this name comes from, you can type it in the chat. His name is Imhotep. It's an Egyptian name. His name is Imhotep, and we call him Emo for short. Now, the reason I showed you these 3 pictures, folks, is because wellness is unique to each and every one of us. Your 3 pictures may be very different. And again, we want to honor and gravitate toward, move toward the things that work and feed us, that help us manage that stress. A couple of other additional activities that I'll throw out to you, and I like to think of these as micro activities, little things that we can engage in that start to become the foundation for maybe bigger actions. Margaret says Queen in Egypt. No, that's not where I got the name. It's possible that there could be a queen in Egypt. It is an Egyptian name, but that is not where I got it. I'll give everybody a hint. There's a character in a movie who has that name. So one of the strategies is we can focus our attention. We can focus our attention on our body, our thoughts, our emotions. And what we can do is we can ask ourselves, as we're focusing attention there, am I holding any tension? Is there any stress in my body? Are there thoughts that are overwhelming me? And you know, it makes me think of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, because that's all based on how our thinking impacts our feeling. And are there any emotions that I need to attend to? So this is a way of scanning. Another scan that we can engage in is you can ask yourself, and this may be very familiar to a number of us, am I hungry? I was actually a little hangry before this conversation, and I was able to have a yogurt with some granola, and I feel great. Am I angry? Am I lonely? Or am I tired? And if you ask yourself these questions, it's highly possible and even maybe likely that you may not be able to get up and go connect with a friend that you may want to connect with. What you can do, though, is you can acknowledge that you have that need and that you'll meet that need when you have the time to do it. So it's a way of honoring where you may be in the moment. And if you can meet the need in the moment, then you, of course, can take that action. If you can't, you can commit to yourself that I will go to bed an hour earlier because I am really tired and I need sleep. And again, that spells halt, which means stop and take care of what you can take care of at that particular moment. And if you can't take care of it in that particular moment, you can make the commitment to do it when you can. Keep in mind that self-care, acknowledging the fact that this work has an impact on us, knowing that we want to be in touch and paying attention to how our bodies are feeling, how we're interacting or reacting in situations, because they can be giving us clues that we're experiencing a lot of stress in a particular moment. Also, and again, I want to thank everybody for making the time to be in this wellness community today. We are not doing this work alone. Each and every one of you took the time to be here for this wellness community. And yes, maybe you want the 1 hour, certificate for the credit, and that's fantastic. And since you've been here until the end, we're going to give that to you. And it's also a way to underline that we're not alone in this. And if we can talk it out with someone or more than one person. Sometimes we have an opportunity to be in group supervision settings, or, as some people mention, in 12-step recovery. Sometimes that can be a powerful place to talk things through with a group or with one sponsor or sponsees. Again, if we need to take time away, and we can do that. And sometimes that's a 5-minute walk around the block. And sometimes that's a 2-week vacation or anything in between. If there are programs, employee assistance programs, or other sponsored benefits, paid sick leave, all of those things, if you have those things available, there's only one person that can activate the use of them: you. So, keeping in mind too, and I find this one particularly resonant for myself. I started my social service career in HIV and AIDS work. And at the time that I started doing that in 1991, there was a very tight AIDS service provider community within my organization and with other organizations throughout New York City that were doing that work. And I could have spent my entire life, personal as well as working, only in that group. And that would have been really problematic for me, because although we weren't at work, when we were together, we were often talking about work. So I had to really learn for myself, and I'm making an I statement here, I had to really learn how to pursue fulfillment outside of my work. And I'm happy to report that I did learn that, and it's something that I carry through to this day. So, a couple of final thoughts. You can't think your way into a right action, but you can act your way into right thinking. And that's a quote from Bill W., one of the founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I wanted to include this quote because I think it lines with that wellness is not so much a state of being, it's a state of action. And this, I think, is very similar. We can take actions that can actually have a very powerful, very positive, and also healing effect on the stress we may be experiencing, and it can positively impact our thinking and our feeling. Having said that, folks, thank you so much for making the time to be here today. In this wellness community, it's really been an honor. You can scan this QR code. It'll take you right to the brief evaluation. My colleague, Clyde Frederick, will put the live link in the chat. Please take a moment to share your candid feedback about this wellness community experience. And I'm very hopeful that we will see each other in the future. In future wellness communities, we do offer it twice a month usually, and also future learning communities. Thanks so much, everybody. Please take good care, be well, and I hope to see you soon. Thank you.